Please subscribe to and like our channel. You can read more about our community at our Substack, Exoconscious Humans. With a paid $8 subscription, you can join our monthly Exoconscious coaching through our Substack. And all of our bios are available at exoconscioushumans.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Exoconscious Inform. This is a series where we address current narratives, current programs, current thoughts that are coming forward in this world of UAPs, extraterrestrials, experiencers, contactees. We are a community of integrated contactees as Exoconscious Humans. And today we are gathered to explore some deeper questions about what our experience has been with extraterrestrials and how that actually lines up with what's being spoken of in the media, what's being written in the news. And today we are going to talk about a video that was released in a podcast and YouTube where Richard Dolan was talking about contactees and giving some examples of persons who have met humanoid contactees and using some language and some thoughts and perspectives that some of us may agree with and some of as contactees and some of us may not agree with as contactees. And so we just thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to come together and just share how we perceive our contact in relationship to this video of Richard's. So the third question is, what is your experience with technologically advanced extraterrestrials? And did they display domination or control behaviors?
Well, I'd be happy to start this one out.
Sure.
And I just want to do a little bit of cleanup on the last topic. The ET that I saw was not dressed in blue. The one with the beautiful fabric, it was actually cream colors. So I just want to be clear. Well, are they not all technologically advanced? I mean, the ones that visit physically or in craft certainly have some transportation abilities we don't have. So they would be at least advanced in that vein. And what's the experience? Well, it's always been, super interesting. I would say the longer it goes on, the more experiences I've had, it becomes more magical. Initially it's like, and you're not too sure and really nervous, right? But towards the end, it's like, oh my gosh, like there they are. And it's so cool. So, I mean, I've had them telepathically communicated with them. I've had them show me all kinds of things in my vision, and I don't know if they're physically there or not. The blue orbs were popping in and out of the house, a year or two ago. And I was really actually gratified when a friend came over and was sitting there and a friend of mine saw them. So I'm like, oh, thank goodness, it's not just in my head, they really are here. So there's been all kinds of, I would say, communication and or display. They're either asking for my attention and focus, or they're showing me something pretty cool to look at. And it's hard to say that that's domination or control. I've never felt dominated, and I've certainly never felt controlled.
I agree with Linda a lot because what I've seen physically is definitely some type of technologically advanced craft. So being able to move the way they do, to be in what I've seen as a sphere, plasma looking orange, nothing that I can equate to our physics, and especially the way they come and go or move. So that's technologically advanced. As far as messaging, I would have to say yes, in terms of it seeming like a portal technology that we don't seem capable of, whether it's light. I still don't know if it could have been holographic. It certainly looked real. But the light and portal seem to be much more technologically advanced than what we're aware of or using ourselves. And then the message was, what I was given was of a future event that then happened. And that was to give me confirmation. Clearly, they're able to have a little more ability to transverse time and to have some knowledge and abilities that we don't in that area.
clearly they are technologically more advanced than we are, but they're also spiritually more advanced than we are. And they understand consciousness to where they can use it for communication, for travel, for healing, for education, for creation and co-creation. We all know that. I think we all understand that. And that's what we're discussing here. We're discussing all these modalities, but these are modalities of consciousness and not modalities of technology. But they have both. And they've educated me to their level of understanding of consciousness so I can communicate with them at their level. So that makes it a lot easier for me. I'm also able to leave the physical realm as a pure conscious energy orb, as they do. And I can communicate with them out of body on a conscious craft, which they create, and we communicate telepathically as pure conscious energy orbs. Those are spiritual abilities, I believe, or an understanding of consciousness of who we are as a species, who we are as humanity. So we have all the abilities that they have. We have many technologies that are hidden from us as humanity that we're not allowed to use or have access to. But you don't need that technology if you can advance your understanding of consciousness, because you can use it, as I've just said, for all those modalities. So, and we do have a choice. They ask me to do things, and I can say no. Only on one occasion I said no, I wasn't going to do it. I was traveling out of body, and I met with Orton D on a conscious craft. They invited me onto the craft. I went through the skin of the craft, and I realized it was conscious. And said they wanted me to convey a message to somebody. And I said I would. I won't go into the message now because we don't have time. But while I was there, I said, let me see if I understand this correctly. Here we are, three beings who are physical beings traveling out of the physical realm as pure conscious energy orbs on a craft that you've created. They said, yes, that's correct. And I said, I see you as round conscious energy orbs. How do you see me? And Art said, we see you exactly the same, Kevin, as a pure conscious energy orb. So we don't need the technologies to communicate with them. We don't need the technologies to travel, as I do, out of body, as many do, I'm sure. Many have this ability. So I think just thinking about the technology side, yes, they are more advanced, but they don't need it. They've got both sides of the spiritual understanding of consciousness and the technologies themselves. I don't have any fear because I've met different beings all my life. I had 7 greys in my home last year. My dogs woke me up at early hours in the morning. I went outside and there's 7 greys walking across my paddock. I came back inside. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, they opened the door and they came in and we had a meeting, a discussion. They didn't allow me the memory of the meeting, the discussion, but they allowed me the memory of the meeting. But that's because I don't have fear. They're just other beings, and they're all around us. We're not able to communicate and contact them. And I had all 8 of my group of council of 8, as I call them, materialize in my bedroom one day. I haven't heard from them for a while, so I left my body. I created my own conscious energy craft, and I went looking for them. And I couldn't find them anywhere. I came back into my body, and I woke up, and all 8 appeared in my bedroom with a full-size mothercraft. And I was quite annoyed, actually, because I've been looking for them and I couldn't find them. And they picked up on that. And they said, yes, we know that, Kevin. That's why we are here, because you've been looking for us. And I said, how can all 8 appear in my bedroom looking down at me from the ceiling with a full-size mothercraft? And they went on to explain space, time, and dimensions. I didn't understand it, but clearly they were there, and clearly using their technologies. Was it projection? Was it holographic? Was it their technologies themselves? Or was it the spiritual projection using consciousness itself? I suspect probably a combination of all that. But they are here, they are around, they are communicating, and they're not infiltrated.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. Go ahead, Cindy.
Obviously, they wouldn't be coming here to visit us or having that ability to do it and interact with us if they weren't advanced. That's my opinion. However, my experience also has been that they share some of those gifts and teach us. And they do that through telepathy, through messaging, I've had it happen when I was working on my surgical error prevention project, where they literally were guiding my thoughts in producing this. You know, there was a time too with my husband, with our first time missing, right after 7 weeks after we were married, where they taught us how to drive the ship using your mind through your fingertips. I don't feel that it's any kind of dominance or control. We just never had any negative response or fear with any of that contact. And I've always thought of them as spiritual beings. I always felt that they were ethical in how they approach. When they used to take me in the beginning, I would get this sleep paralysis when I would wake up because they'd slam me into my body too quickly. And it would set off like this panic feeling in me for just those few seconds, but it felt like minutes. And I asked them to stop doing that. And it stopped miraculously after that. It never happened again. So whether it was my own consciousness doing it, or whether they did it more gently, putting your body back in, who knows?
Okay, who else would like to comment on their experience with technologically advanced ETs, and did they display domination or control behaviors? I'd like to go next.
I concur with what Kevin was saying, that primarily it's spiritually advanced more than technologically advanced, although technologically advanced is clear and obvious, I think. I can only talk about technological advances in terms of one or two healing sessions which I've been involved in, where I've worked with a colleague, and I've also worked with, I'd refer to them as beings of light involved in this. And Arcturians have come forward with a couple of different, on a few different occasions. One of them was with a device that they call a sound bar. It was used with a person that we're working on to help their energy to settle down and to be more calm and to effectively healing, or a form of healing. And this is non-physical, I'll point out. This is energetic. Another thing they've come forward with is a frequency scanner that helps to detect foreign energy within a person's energy system. And it can go down into very low vibrations, looking for that and helping to detect and remove this foreign energy. So that's the kind of technologically advanced stuff that I'm aware of, that I've encountered personally.
That little story I told about me being on the ship and I was given information by Ort and D when we were all orbs traveling together. I asked, who should I say the message is from? And they're Arcturians, Dave, the Ort and D from Arcturians, fifth dimensional beings from Andromeda. And they said, tell him we are the light beings. I'd never heard that term before, because obviously I couldn't say, oh, it's from Ort and D, because he wouldn't know who they were. But obviously, anyway, I did convey the message, and he sent me a photograph that he'd taken of a light being while he was out in the field doing some research. But it just ties in nicely with what Dave was saying about the spiritual side, the Arcturians and light beings. That all fits into the information that I have too.
Nancy and Karin?
My first thought about technologically advanced is we have to go to the fundamental, which is that's an assumption that we're making. What they're doing may not be necessarily technologically advanced on their planet, which may not have, let's say, the degree of gravity that we have. So other technologies would develop more easily or in a different pathway than ours on Earth. So to me, it's sort of, a lot of it is relative, number one. A lot of it, we just don't know if it's technologically more advanced. And the business about telepathic communications, that just sent me on a whole mind voyage about what the conversations that I'm having with all these scientists right now. About a week ago, Deepak Chopra, who is in our group, announced that he just created what he called digitaldeepak.ai. And I immediately asked, because I wanted him to explain that, not because I was judging it, but I wanted him to explain it. And he left all of the groups instantly without responding. So that gets me on the track of AI, because we are way closer to us being, let's say, technologically advanced with AI than most of any of us realize. And because I'm dealing with these top scientists, I'm getting clues about how close we are to many, many things. And I mean like 5 years away or less, really close, which would look like what maybe we're seeing in some of these other beings. So, is that because it looks like it's coming from, say, a being that we don't recognize? Does that mean that they're technologically advanced? I don't know. I'm not going to make that judgment. In terms of the technology of telepathy, I actually, that's one of the main reasons I've been teaching these psychic skills and mediumship skills for so long now, is because if you want to be able to communicate effectively, and it's that the old concept of, well, we humans, we're on a denser, lower vibration. We have to raise our vibrations. Okay, fine. But how about train yourself through discipline and skills how to do the same things? Because here's the big message. Yeah, we can all do it. And so does that make them technologically advanced? It might just make us a little slow to catch on. I don't know, and I'm certainly not going to judge that. I have a hard time distinguishing between all different types of entities, because my world is kind of full of a full range. And they, what you might call the multidimensionals, the ETs, whatever, that you have celestials, you got all kinds of ranges of different levels of physicality. And then you have like these kind of grungy phantom-like things that also jump in. I did have one that breached my perimeters of security. And while I was sleeping, I knew that it was there. It was about 3.5 feet tall. It looked like Cousin It. That's the only comparison I could make. It was brown. I mean, how weird can you get? I was awake because I instantly experienced a sense of doom that I cannot even explain. I knew it wasn't me. I'm not afraid of stuff. I've seen plenty of weird stuff. But the sense of it was almost as though it was implanted or generated or something, and I don't know why, but that was a form of domination. I started praying immediately, and then poof, it was gone. I never saw it again, before or since. I don't know what that was. So I don't know if that qualifies. I don't have memories of driving a craft or being on a craft. I've had only a couple of dreams, which were pretty intense, but who knows what that means. But I will say that I've had many people say to me over the years that they've seen me on craft. Whose perceptions do I have to live off of, And I know that memories get wiped. And I'm sure mine have been probably tampered with a few times, like probably other people here.
What is your response to Dolan's claim that you are a naive idealist if you regard technological species as more ethical? Karin, do you want to go on?
My first response to that is people that say that typically don't have their own personal experience of any kind to draw on. Because if you think someone might be naive or an idealist, you probably don't have your own experience. And he's never claimed to be an experiencer. While I have a great amount of respect for his amazing historical researching abilities, he's never said he's an experiencer. So it's a little difficult for me to take that response seriously, because how would he know? If he's basing it purely on his historical research, when he says who doesn't know better if you regard them as technologically more or less ethical. Again, I think he might be drawing more on threat-based narrative. And if that is the case, then that doesn't necessarily feel or speak to being ethical. While if he were to draw on the many experiencers who have had positive experiences that feel spiritual, benevolent, uplifting, evolving, all those words we use that we would use for possibly ourselves in a benevolent or positive context of healing or enlightening, that feels pretty ethical to me. So, and again, I want to speak to Nancy's comment about we're dealing with so many different variables here and possible dimensions. How do you pigeonhole anything to being a naive idealist? We're dealing with many, many aspects here because I also had a very negative experience where I was terrified, and it was similar to how she described, dark, scary. I knew it was in a dreamlike state, but I knew it felt and was real, and praying, the whole thing. But I've also had a whole other type of experience, and I don't feel naive in that context. So I think what we're talking about here is one thing from him, but the reality is multidimensional. And that's what we are. We are multidimensional human beings. Why would we not be able to assimilate, integrate different dimensions of contact?
Thanks, Karin. Go ahead, Linda. So you started, so do you want to go on?
Sure. In terms of naivete with the experiences we've had, I think it would be more than fair to say that the vast majority of experiences are positive and life-changing. And as Karin said, uplifting and spiritual. And I think you don't have to look any further than the free study to see that is by and large true across the board. Now, is it possible to have negative experiences? Yeah, sure. I mean, I've had experiences like Nancy and Karin, very few, but I did not identify them as extraterrestrial. I don't know what they were. Again, nighttime in bed, dream, coming out of dream to experience something. In summation, I think my best guess as to the big picture is I think that consciousness, the universe, the one, the all, is trying to help humanity and to go forward, to go to the next step, to go to the next spiritual level so we can join the community. I mean, right now it's sort of like kindergarten, and we need to learn our manners and how to get along and share our crackers and juice and, whatever it is. And I say that with a lot of love. It's a tough go being a human being. And it's a very, very, very tough go being an experiencer because by and large, we're alone. And it's unusual, and it's a real benefit that we have communities like this that we can now talk to each other and share our experiences. But generally, when we're younger or early on in our experiences, we are all alone with a great deal of experience, not naivete, but experience. No, I don't feel like I'm naive at all, except that I'm a human and I still have a lot to learn.
Thanks, Linda. Cindy, Kevin.
From what Linda's saying, so she's reading my thoughts, I think. As a human being, I am naive. I have been naive. I've been gullible. I've been all the things that we make mistakes in. I've done them. But we learn from our mistakes. But I'm certainly not naive within my contact with my extraterrestrial star families. They've educated me, again, to a level where I can communicate with them at their level of consciousness. So I'm not naive. And if I need more information, I ask and they give it to me. If they think I need some more information or some more guidance, they will give it to me telepathically. And then I get confirmation. So no, as an experiencer, a lifelong experiencer, I'm not naive. I'm very experienced. I have direct contact with a number of extraterrestrial beings. Yeah.
Cindy, did you want to go next?
So I was checking back in my photos to see when the last time that I met personally with Richard Dolan. So it was back in 2015, and it was at one of the UFO Congress. My opinion of him then versus now has changed because I feel he's changed. So when I met with him at that Congress, I was showing him pictures. That was like earlier when we were going through the time of when ISIS was marching people out on the beach to behead them. And I caught and took videos and pictures. So, and I showed them to Dolan where I captured those ISIS beings all in black next to humans. And their form was that of a massive draconian reptilian. And when I showed him my proof and my pictures, he said to me at that time, I'd be a little careful, Cindy, about showing those to people or around because you're going to put yourself in danger. So I didn't realize at that time what he was referring to as in danger, which brings me to today when he says we're all naive and idealistic in that context. Well, I think he's wrong in lumping us all under that one umbrella. And so I think he's misinformed. So that's my opinion, but that's my experience with him personally, and then how he's shifted now and changed.
Thanks, Cindy. David and Nancy?
You know, when you're not an experiencer, what do you make of all this? Be cautious by all means. And, you know, trust your own feelings over things. It's fine to be cautious. Anyone who's, you know, might listen to this and wants to explore their own way forward, yeah, be cautious, be discerning, but also if it was all about bad stuff and manipulation and exploitation, it would have been a lot more clear by now, you know, than it has been. My experience has always been supportive and encouraging development. I'm not doing it for you, but pointing out the sort of stuff, you know, you need to do in order to grow.
Hey, Nancy, you want to wrap us up?
Oh, gosh. I mean, everybody said such really interesting things. I think what he was sort of saying somewhere in that video, Dolan, was that, you know, he's better balanced, you know, because he's somehow seeing both sides of this coin, and yet he hasn't had any experiences upon which to have had his own personal feedback. So he doesn't really know what to believe, other than to think that anybody who's one-sided is naive. If your experiences have been positive, yeah, you're gonna sort of feel a positive sense. I think it's really fascinating what he said to Cindy. And by the way, Cindy, I was a speaker at the 2015 Congress, but that's really interesting that he's kind of shifted position, or at least his honesty level on the topic, maybe so that he can fall in line with the, you know, the party line that's current right now, which is, you know, national security threat, and they're so much more technologically advanced than we are. Therefore, we need to be frightened, you know, or so, but that doesn't necessarily make any sense. And by the way, we may be so, as humans, so incredibly short-lived and potentially stupid by comparison. There could be extremely long-term strategies being employed on us, such as, you know, DNA strategies, let's say, or anything else. How are we supposed to know that anyway? And does it really affect our well-being right now? Does it really? Does it really matter? I'm just so amazed by what everybody has said, because everybody has been so clear and so expressing very unusual experiences, but at the same time being really very sort of neutrally appreciative of the kind of feedback that they've had by their own experience. And ultimately, that's where we get knowledge from.
For those watching, this is just an example of how our community functions, willing to listen, willing to sit with what an experiencer has to say, and then give them feedback or give them a response to what's been said. I think that that's what has enabled all of us to grow and mature. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching Exoconscious Inform, and please like and subscribe to our channel. And I hope you enjoyed this discussion.